Hi, my name is Russ McDonald, and I will be giving you some interventions to use with students on the autism spectrum disorder in the classroom. The number of children with autism spectrum disorder attending mainstream schools has increased considerably in many countries, including the U.S., with 71% of students diagnosed with ASD attending mainstream settings. And, there's often the assumption that because these students may be academically able, that they should manage in a mainstream school. While they may cope academically, their challenges socially can lead to difficulties in forming and maintaining relationships. Peer awareness, though important, may not be sufficient to change peers' interactions with students. Peer-mediated interventions involve teaching typically developing children to engage with children with ASD, often using directive information messages. Some types of PMIs, such as peer networks, include the child with ASD in the intervention. This provides additional opportunities for learning in context for both the child with ASD and their peers. There is some evidence demonstrating the success of PMI on social interaction of students with ASD and greater impact on social networks when compared to teaching social skills to the child on the autism spectrum disorder. PMIs can also affect outside play, with an increase in peer initiations and pupil initiations responses, with untrained peers also showing increased initiations. Interventions need to include descriptive explanations. The use of a peer-mediated intervention for a student with autism spectrum disorder can be very beneficial. Next, we have the Picture Exchange Communication System. This is a learning system that allows children with little or no verbal ability to communicate using pictures. An adult will help the child build a vocabulary and articulate desires, observations, or feelings by using pictures consistently, and starts by teaching the child how to exchange a picture for an object. Eventually, the individual is shown how to distinguish between pictures and symbols and use these to form sentences. Although the picture exchanged communication system is based on visual tools, verbal reinforcement is a major component, and verbal communication is encouraged. Next, using songs to facilitate transitions is a good way to go for students on the autism spectrum disorder. When teachers transition from one activity to another, the likelihood of misbehavior increases. Such transition times can be especially difficult for students with autism, as they require shifts in attention and behavior. A song indicating that it is time for a change in activity may help gain students' attention by cueing the required behaviors. By selecting songs for common transitions, students learn what transition is occurring, where they are to go, and what they are to do. The song must consistently be associated with the same transition for the strategy to be effective during the acquisition phase of learning to comply with transition requests. Teachers can measure the effectiveness of the strategy by documenting the level of prompting needed or the length of time required by the students to complete the transition. For example, Judy, a 7-year-old first-grade student with autism, was easily distracted when the class was directed to put away materials. Although she initiated cleanup, she soon began to refuse to do this. Her behavior was noticed and reported by disapproving classmates. But when the teacher attempted to verbally redirect her, Judy resisted and sometimes became more disruptive. To solve the problem, the class learned the familiar children's song, "Clean up, everybody, everywhere." Classroom aides can also provide physical prompts requiring students to put away toys to the rhythm of the song, but eventually the song should be a sufficient reminder of what students should be doing all on its own, and they should be able to stay on task.